That's right. It's time for Catching Up with Carley presented by Meijer. And today I'm very pleased to be rejoined by a good friend of ours, Darren McCarty. How's it going, D-Mac?
Good, Carly. Good. Happy New Year to you and everybody out there. And hockey's back. Real excited. Wing Wheel Nation's back. So great to catch
Let's
up with you.
go. Love it. Hockey is back, and happy 2021 to you as well. With that, let's start talking about training camp. We've had a few days under our belt. What have you seen from the guys so far?
Well, the enthusiasm, I think, is number one. And obviously, here in Detroit, we missed hockey for a while, having to watch it from the outside looking in because of the way the, playoff system last year. But guys are hungry. And the biggest thing is there's competition. So I think you see the coach is just excited and the general manager is just excited as all the guys in training camp. So it's all about making the best product. I think that the biggest word out of my mouth for the past few years and will continue is the culture. And you're seeing another step into getting where we eventually want to be, and that's to continue to, back in the 90s and 2000s and stuff like that, to get back to being in competition for the cup every year.
So we have about the same core with guys like Anthony Mantha, Tyler Bertuzzi, Dylan Larkin. We have Danny DeKaiser back out on the blue line. How is it to see him lacing up again and getting back out there after first back surgery that put him out, and then obviously through the 9-month-long pause?
Yeah, you know what? It's a great testament to Danny. He's such a great kid. Obviously, the Western Michigan ties, and I actually his old man's a beauty because he skates with us in the alumni sometimes. And that just goes to show you what it means to him. And here's the one thing with Dan DeKaiser, right? The talent's there, the size is there, the experience is getting there. It's if he can stay healthy. So hopefully, with the surgery he's had, he's put the work in because you can't just come back from that. And I know he's excited. So a healthy Danny Kaiser is going to be a definite asset on the blue line for the Red Wings this year.
He's definitely someone you notice out there when he's there, and you definitely notice him in his absence. But now looking forward to some of the new guys we had. So we signed 5 guys in free agency, and then we added Mark Stahl. What do you think this can do to the Red Wings lineup? Do you think this is going to add depth with some of those guys being veterans?
Yeah, Carly, what it is if you look at it, and I'm always about comparables, right? So right now, to me, it's like the early mid 90s of where we were at, and the guys you're bringing in might not be here to win the Stanley Cup, but they're going to be an integral part of that. A Mark Stahl, let's start with him, not only his experience, but his name. That's a hockey name, obviously, with his brothers and stuff, but him being a blue line or being a leader in New York, that just permeates with respect and stuff like that. I'm real excited to see Bobby Ryan. Obviously, he's a natural goal scorer, which I saw that he was on a line with Philip Zadina. So you got a left-handed sniper and a right-handed sniper, and no matter who is in the lineup for the Detroit Red Wings, they have to play an integral part in this team being successful. So it's great with the new guys that we traded for. It's great for the guys that are coming back. It's great for everybody, especially the Wing Wheel Nation out there who's going to see Red Wing hockey real soon.
Love it. Love it. I know I'm excited. So you mentioned the line, I should say, of Philip Zadina and Bobby Ryan. Also on that line in training camp was Robbie Fabry at center. What's it like? What kind of dynamic line do you think that could be?
Well, yeah, not all because natural, right off the top of your head, you just think pure talent as far as two guys that love to shoot the puck and are a right hand and a left-handed shooter, which is, something really good, which allows Fabry, who's a great playmaker, and somebody who's an integral part of that second line center that Stevie believes in, obviously re-signing. But when you can dish forehand or backhand a la Igor Larionov to a couple guys that love to shoot, it's a win-win. So, you look for those guys all to be an integral part of the success on the power play, along with the first unit with obviously Dylan, little baby Bert, and Anthony Mantha. But it's an exciting part right now. And this is a team, 56 games, right? You get out of the gate good early, put some wins together, and you never know what can happen. So chemistry is a big thing. We've known what the guys that we've mentioned that have been here a while have developed. And I love the chemistry in the dressing room because every guy is there for each other, just like we were. And these new guys, they all fit in. They're character guys that have been around the league. And I always look for guys that Stevie recycles, for lack of a
Mm-hmm.
better term, an Adam Ernie, a guy that he
Mm-hmm.
sees as a role player. You look at that fourth line, Glendening, Helm, and Ernie. That has the ability to be not only a quick line, but a shutdown line. And when you look through the roster, they can compete. And, again, it's all back, we mentioned on the back end, but we'll see how the young guys are progressing. And the biggest thing is what people need to take is there's competition, internal competition, and nobody is safe. And that's the way they like it. That's the way what made us great back in the day is not the games. It was we practiced against each other. I used to tell everybody, you know what? It's like you go for a whole week, you can't touch a puck against Nick Lidstrom. That poor defenseman, the first shift of the game that you played against, he was dead. It's just inevitable. I mean, it's just the way it goes. So competition breeds success, in my opinion.
And I do believe that plays to the depth of the team is something we're looking at this season, fingers crossed. But it's funny you mentioned that. I know Bobby Ryan was saying in a press conference that Dylan Larkin, he said he's always a jerk to play against, but he never really knew how competitive he was until his training camp playing with them on the same team, and still has that competitive drive. So that's great to see. But looking ahead to the schedule, you were talking about a bit of a condensed schedule, and that's not the only thing we'll be looking at differently this year, but almost like a baseball-like schedule, if you will, playing a bunch of teams, or I'm sorry, I should say playing one team a bunch of times. What do you think with also the division realignment? We'll talk about that in a second. What do you think that's going to do to these players? Do you think that's going to mentally and physically drain them, having to play so many games and so many nights? I think right out the gate, it's 4 games and 6 nights. Does that really play to the endurance and stamina and like how important it is to rehabilitate your body after a game?
Well, after a game and even being prepared coming into the season, and the game's different, maybe at the end in 08, 09, when the last year I played retired, but the fitness and the 24/7, that's what it's about. I think what the interesting thing is the expanded roster by a couple players, which
Mm-hmm.
sort of fills in, not only giving some people an opportunity to be on an NHL roster, but to actually play. You said 4 and 6. The biggest thing, Carly, that comes to mind, and again, I always like to mention this because you're too young, but rivalries. You play a team 8 times, and it might not be my NHL, but you're going to put a hate on for somebody, and that might instill. And I'm not saying in Detroit, but somewhere else when you're watching, that rivalries will build up, and you might be able to see something more of along the lines of not to the extent, but what we used to have against the Dallases and the St. Louises and the Chicagos and ultimately the Colorados. So you know who you have to beat to get through them. So it'll mean something. I think it might give that old school 80s, 90s a little bit feel to it, to the hockey fan who hasn't experienced rivalries in eight playing a team 8 times a year.
To wrap things up, I kind of have a 2-in-1 question for you. Who are you looking at in this training camp, and who are you looking at throughout the season to be a difference maker?
Yeah, you know what? It's a big year for the big boys, and the big boys. I mean, it's the top line, and mostly in Dylan. It's Anthony Mantha. If he stays healthy, he's your Shanny. He's your Shanny. He's just got to stay healthy, and I think that he's finding the scoring. He's finding his role, biding his time. Obviously, baby Bert. That he's got to be out there and he's got to be smart and be the game changer. But it's time for these guys to step up. I think somebody who's going to have a big year that can continue to show people something last year is Philip Aronik. And so mostly, Carly, if I watch, I'm paying attention to, like you said, the Svechnikovs, the Mo Siders, the Joe Velenos, the guys that are coming up that are fighting for the spots, the guys that are hungry. So it's an exciting time to be not only an alumni, but a fan of this team. And I'm excited.
Love it. Love it. I second that. Very cool to work for a team that you love rooting for. With that, Darren, thank you so much for joining me on Catching Up with Carley, presented by Meijer. It's always great talking to you. I know you and I could go on for hours and hours.
I look forward to seeing it at LCA.
Yes. Darren, thank you so much. Take care. Back to you, Daniela.